Hey everyone, welcome back to the Astral Tourist. If you caught the last episode, you know I was pretty excited about the super harvest moon. And as promised, I took my own little lunar boarding pass and stepped through. This is my astral log update about my journeys during the super harvest moon. So I started the night by making the intention to astral project to space or the moon if possible. Maybe Saturn again. I was kind of leaving it open a bit. I wasn't sure if I had enough energy though. I mean, with the move and everything and unpacking and a lot of stuff going on here. So I knew I was pretty tired last night. Plus I also got my COVID and flu vaccinations yesterday. And for the record, they have never prevented me from astral projecting, just for those who tend to ask about that. I've never had trouble with that, but they do make me a little tired sometimes. So on top of that, I was tired on top of tired. So I figured if I couldn't get to space, then I would just, let my own higher self decide what to do or where to explore. So when the first astral projection kicked in, I landed at my desk. It was an autonomous one. I just got shot from the bed to the room where I have my desk and my computer and everything. So not exactly the moon, but I did just shoot out. Like there was a lot of energy in the motion of it. I didn't have to struggle, but it was an autonomous one. So not very graceful. Just a quick rocket ride to my desk. I was in my usual space, so it was really close dimension to the physical. But as usual, things were a little different. Things are never exactly the same in the astral. Sometimes they're close, but there are always differences, even in the super close dimensions. So in this case, the chair at my desk was way too low, like comically low. And I was trying to adjust it. And for a while, I was trying to stretch my astral arms up to see what was on my computer. Because sometimes it's fun to look on the computer in the astral just to see what's in there. But the chair would not stay up. And I couldn't quite get it to hold up. I don't know. The computer too was massive, way larger than my normal computer, taking up half the wall, which is another reason I really wanted to look in there and see what was in there. And I had totally forgotten to make more distance from my body and to get outside, by the way, because I was only semi-lucid. So yeah, don't do this. Shoot outside instead. Make that distance. But because I was only semi-lucid and I was really fascinated with my giant computer screen, I kept trying to look at it. I did notice, just as I was beginning to remember to look around and maybe go outside, the light in the room was beautiful. It was filled with this golden glow, soft, steady. I remember thinking my energy works sticking, maybe that's the Reiki. Or just, the good vibes I've been putting around. So that was that one. And of course I got pulled back because I did not make the distance. I didn't get outside. I didn't get flying. So that was my bad, but it was still kind of fun to try and look on the computer. So, in the next projection, I only remember some fragments. It had a boring quality to it. It was an unpopulated middle of nowhere town vibe. Again, another autonomous one where I just kind of shot out and I was there. So I did what I usually do just to get more clarity. So I said clarity now. I was trying to find out if I was dreaming or if I really had astral projected. Again, semi-lucid. And everything shifted. So the dream elements cleared. I was indeed astral projecting outside. And I was just in my actual usual neighborhood area, not a boring town. So I don't know, maybe some part of me thinks my neighborhood is boring. I was dreaming over it, something about it being dull. But my neighborhood's actually okay. It's not that dull. It's not that grand, but it's okay. And I noticed there was a storm brewing. Dark clouds were gathering overhead. There was this electric heaviness in the air, like when there's going to be a really good lightning storm. So that got me really excited. I flew up into it, hoping to absorb some of that storm energy to keep the projection going, but I couldn't absorb it fast enough to continue the astral projection or to try to get out into space or anything. I was able to absorb some energy from it, but just not enough. I got pulled back. And interestingly enough, we are expecting storms here where I live for the next few days. So they haven't come yet, but they're on their way in. So I think I was projecting like a little bit in the future in that astral zone. So the next one, I got much further away. Again, it was an autonomous one. I don't remember actually getting out. I became lucid when I was already inside a large house, one-story house, whitish. It was kind of messy, really messy. Definitely well lived in, clothes kind of spread around, old couches and things, and it was full of animals, birds, cats, dogs, particularly finches. There were loads of finches around. And all of these were just hanging out peacefully together like they all belonged there. And then something really special happened. Just as I was wondering what I was doing there, my passed on cat jumped right into my arms like no time had passed at all. So I got to pet her for a few minutes. At first I was like, "Is it you?" And she looked up at me, with her big eyes like she used to and everything. And I was like, it's her, and I was petting her. So yeah, I usually still see her a few times a month in the astral at different locations. And I've noticed many of them are areas for various animals like this one was. This is an animal astral hub. And I've been to other ones where, they're just tucked away in a forest, or sometimes they're in parks and there are just all these miscellaneous animals around, sometimes horses. Sometimes it's more dog focused, sometimes with more birds. And I seem to keep finding her at ones with lots of birds. So I don't know, I guess she really likes birds. She did when she was, alive. She would always look out the window at them. But what cat doesn't like birds anyway? So, but she's always around loads of these bird areas, and sometimes around ones with horses. So anyway, that was that one. And later, more towards morning, I had a false awakening. So I had already been out and about in the astral, but in an entirely different dimension. And I knew something was off because when I woke up, I noticed I don't mean like woke up physically. When I woke up in the astral, like my lucidity was high, I felt like I was waking up physically. But I noticed my energy nets weren't there in the bedroom, and my physical body felt entirely different. So I think I accidentally ended up in one of my parallel doppelgangers' bodies, which has happened a few times before. So it's a really weird feeling when that happens. It's kind of unmistakable. Once you've had it happen, you'll know what that feels like, and you'll know automatically. But if you've never experienced it, it can be really confusing because it can feel like your body a bit until you start like checking around and stuff. But after it happens a few times, like I said, you'll know. So I started just reciting everything that had already happened to myself really quickly so that I wouldn't forget anything from earlier in the evening. And, a kind of internal log to help maintain those memories. And then I tried to force a wake up into my correct dimension and physical body just by making the intention. It didn't work right away, but I wasn't in a hurry. There was nothing really wrong there other than that I was in the wrong place. So anyway, eventually I focused solely on my physical body, which is one of my tips. You have to think about your actual physical body and then try to like move something like a toe or a finger, or sometimes I think about an itch, on my eyelash. But this time I did it just by trying to speak, like to utter a word. And I figured even if I uttered a word in the doppelganger's body, I still might utter it in my actual physical body. So, it's just to send some kind of a signal to break the weird doppelganger dimensional loop there. And that did work. That was enough. I woke up making some very weird mumbled sounds over and over again. Like, but I wasn't like scared. I was just like trying to verbalize, and I got that signal to my physical body, which then woke me up. So, no deep space this time. Sorry, folks. No moon landing. But meaningful moments still came through, especially reconnecting with my cat. I always love seeing her when I see her in the astral. I miss her so much. Um, but at least I get to like visit, even if it's only for a few minutes. Sometimes the projections, they're not always going to go the way we plan. In the astral, um, it's a different environment. It's not like a lucid dream where you can just, where everything just goes the way you want and flows like that. It's its own environment, and that's okay. The astral doesn't really care about our checklists either. Our spirits guide us to what we're ready for and what we need. Whether that's a glitchy chair or a quick visit with an old friend. So even though the full moon was last night, I've had success with projections by astral projecting a few nights before the moon and after, which I think a lot of people don't always try after it. And you still can for like a few more nights, okay? Time's always a little bit weird and wonky out there in the astral. Sometimes timelines blend together. It depends what dimension you're in. So it's definitely like if nothing happened last night for you, you're still good to go for like 2 more nights, okay? Don't give up yet. And that portal doesn't close just because the calendar says so. Thank goodness for that, right? So I'll be heading back out again tonight, seeing where the moonlight leads. If you've had any dreams or projections around this full moon, I'd love to hear about them. Let me know in the comments. I'm always fascinated by how different or similar our experiences can be. And if you enjoyed this little astral field report, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time, happy astral travels!